So West Ham take on Chelsea on Saturday evening. And look, it'd be good to get back to a high level of performance. I know we're struggling with injuries and we're coming across a Chelsea side that, let's be honest, have been pretty much flawless other than that West Brom game since Thomas Tuchel's come in. He's employed a different style, a different formation. Obviously, there is that tactical nous that he has over Frank Lampard, but the way that now they play that 3-4-3, they use inside forwards, they've got a false nine in their side, and they dictate games through their midfield. And that is a real concern from a West Ham perspective, given the type of players that we've possibly got playing against Chelsea. Defensively as well, they work hard off the ball. They tend to regain the ball very, very quickly. Their counter-pressing style of football is up there for me in terms of the league, and we saw that against Manchester City. Even when they lose it and they're not economical with the ball, they're so switched on to getting it back, whether it's through the wing-backs that they use or even the inside forwards in Timo Werner. So when you talk about Thomas Tuchel, albeit some of those players, particularly the forward men, as I've mentioned, you got Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, that aren't even performing at the top level or to the top level of their abilities, they still completely understand the system and what he's trying to employ. Let's go through the side. In goal will probably be Mendy, who's been really, really solid for them this season, even when he was under Frank Lampard. I think he tries to play out from the back at times, but he doesn't try to complicate it. Yes, of course, naturally it is an upgrade on Kepa, makes some really decent shots, stopping, and able to command the box a little bit more effectively than Kepa can. The back three looks a little bit like Rudiger, who for me is coming to his own under Thomas Tuchel. Really comfortable bringing the ball out from the back, composed in possession, will look to hit those switch passes and really aggressive in trying to win that ball back. Now, Andreas Christensen could play central centre-back. Equally, you've got someone like Kurt Zouma, the more aggressive of the back three in that centre-back position, looking to win the ball a bit more. Thiago Silva, when he plays, is a lot more composed on the ball, reads the game very well, despite that lack of pace that he has in his older years. But again, you've still got that type of player that's going to win that aerial duel. And Cesar Azpilicueta on right-sided centre-back, who's been absolutely phenomenal for them. Every time I watch them play, his passes into midfield, and we'll talk a little bit about the triangles that Tuchel creates. Again, he's allowing Chelsea to keep the ball. He's good one-to-one. We know that he's played wing-back. He's played left-hand side, right-hand side. He's a very sound technical football player. The midfield is an interesting one. If you ever hear Chelsea fans or you ever watch Chelsea, particularly with Frank Lampard, there's always been a concern. Who do we play? Do we play a pivot? Now they're playing... It would be fair to say that they're playing a double pivot, but more progressive than a natural defensive midfielders. So Jorginho's coming to the side. They do miss Kovacic. I think on a side note, Kovacic technically is a really good player and it fits the mould of a player that Tuchel wants in those centre midfield positions. Jorginho is really comfortable under pressure, really astute, has got his angles spot on, really good passing range, can almost invite the pressure onto him. And that's where West Ham really need to look out for him, because he will ask them to go and press him. And the minute he beats him, then Chelsea have got that space that they can operate in. You've got Kante alongside him. Again, really needs no introduction in terms of those physical attributes, getting to the ball, reads the game incredibly well. But I found it very interesting to watch Chelsea and how they use someone like a Kante going forward. He's willing to run a little bit further, possibly into those channels, give them a bit more width. And this whole Chelsea side is really well drilled in filling in positions for one another. So even when they are out of position, another player will fill that in, and they never tend to lose their shape. Mason Mount is an interesting one, and I will touch on Mason because he's more of a, for me when I watch him play, very similar to West Ham in how they use Fornals, albeit completely different players and possibly even different trajectories. Mason Mount can drop into almost a midfield three at times. We know the work rate that he's got, very comfortable on the ball, showing a lot of maturity in terms of shielding the ball as well. So that's the step up for a natural dribbler. We know going forward, good passing range, good shots from distance, presses really well. And that's something that Tuchel wants. Although Tuchel at times can be happy to sit deep, keep the shape, keep compact and allow the front two or the front three to operate. When he's chasing down the ball or playing a high press style of play that can force team into issues, Mason Mount is a crucial part of that on the left-hand side. So that's why he's Tuchel's boy. That's why he was Lampard's boy. Wing-backs, left-hand side, you're probably looking at either Marcus Alonso or possibly even Ben Chilwell. Marcus Alonso probably better going forward, or again, because of his deficiencies defensively. Chilwell's coming to the side, particularly over the past couple of weeks in the Champions League, gets into the box a lot. Again, both of the wing-backs are happy just to slot back and create a back five at times. But when Chelsea are on the front foot in West Ham's final third, they keep the width. They give real problems to defences because what they do is they stretch it. And the fact that both of them in Reece James or even Callum Hudson-Odoi and Chilwell have got brilliant distribution and can switch the play very quickly is, again, what helps Chelsea break down the low block sides, despite the fact it doesn't really show that with the lack of goals they've scored. Reece James is a very good player. Of course, there is that natural debate for England as to whether he should play at right back. But I think right wing back is his position. Good going forward, good variety of crosses, really good passing range as well. Decent technical player, but really strong and difficult to get past on that right-hand side, and particularly for West Ham's left. So there is a few issues for me, and particularly without Mikel Antonio, because I think West Ham would have to double up almost on either wings to try and force the issue, or even play Arthur Masuaku if we were going to try and get forward a little bit more. And then you talk about the forward men. Now, we'll talk about Timo Werner because he could possibly play against West Ham. And I think it depends on how Tuchel wants to use him. Technically, I don't think he's the most sound. He's clearly lacking confidence. The mentality for me with Timo isn't quite there. And so he panics a little bit in possession. He's not looking for players around him. And having said all of that, he does work really hard for the team out of possession. And every time that he does get balls in a particular section of the pitch where possibly he could have a shot at goal or test the keeper, he's playing it into the players in front of him. So he is a very selfless player. You've got the front man in Kai Havertz, who is playing almost that false nine position that needs inside forwards around him to create a little bit more, give him some options to work off of. He's improving naturally in his game. He's a good technical player, comfortable coming deep as well. So if Chelsea do want to play slightly deeper against West Ham or try and draw them out of that low block that we could have at times, he's the guy to go for. And then Mason will probably come up on the left-hand side, possibly. Now, I've mentioned Timo. Pulisic could play. Chelsea's best front three for me, from what I can see, is Pulisic, Mount, and Kai Havertz. And they aren't firing necessarily on all cylinders, but the interchangeability between them, the fact that they can link up play very, very nicely, means that Chelsea can keep the ball in final thirds and find the correct type of pass. And the way that all of them are really good dribblers on the ball, even though they're not super clinical, means that they can create openings and spaces or get chances from set pieces. So this Chelsea side are really able to press from the front with those front three, create chances from themselves. The midfield can dictate play because they're so good under pressure and they can anticipate danger very well. The wing-backs give them really, really decent width and also give them the option to come to a back five. And the back three are really, really aggressive and decent at playing out from the press. So I don't want to scare any West Ham fans because this is a very, very good technical side that are really, really astute. And it will be a real tough test for West Ham to go and try and compete with them in certain positions. But that is what you can expect from Chelsea. That is more than likely the predicted 11 as well for them. So keep an eye out for the team news. Thank you so much for joining me. Like the video, subscribe to the West Ham Way. Naturally, if you're new, I'll be back this week for my team that we're going to play against Chelsea. So until then, everybody, take care.